Good. So explain GameStop. What happened?
So what ended up happening is you had this guy. His name was Michael Burry. Okay. Now they made a movie about him. It's called The Big Short. Okay, because back in 2008, he actually saw the
financial
crisis happening, and he took on a big short for it. And then, so he came out and said, "Look, this company is over shorted. Like it's shorted by over 200%." Now, the people who don't know what shorting is, high level, it's basically you borrow shares from another investor. You immediately sell them in the market, expecting for the share price to go down. Once the share price goes down, you purchase those shares and you give them back to the investor. You keep the spread. So you borrowed them at $100. They went down to 50. You bought them back at 50. You hand those shares back. You keep the spread. So that's short selling. Okay. So what Michael Burry noticed is that one of the things you got to think about with short selling is one of the main tenets of short selling is that you have to eventually buy the stock back. Okay. Now, if you're making money when the stock is going down, you're also losing money when the stock goes up, right? So if you start losing a lot of money because the stock continues to go up, what ends up happening is all the shorts are now covering their positions by buying back that security at a price higher than what they sold it for, and thus taking a loss. But if they're all buying it at the same time, it's called a short squeeze, demand and supply. There's more demand, shoots up the price. So what Michael Burry said is this company is being shorted so much, and the next
and Wall Street's for the most part. Wall Street.
It was the hedge funds. Yeah, certain short selling hedge funds.
So corporate America will say, is being like this company's done.
And they're not wrong. Like they weren't wrong. That GameStop.
This is just based on the metrics, right?
Correct. Like I've gone through the financials of GameStop myself. And I've looked at their financials for years. They're not wrong that GameStop was struggling. Right. What the saving grace for GameStop was that these next gen consoles sold a more expensive version, but sold a version that had disc sales. Why does that matter? GameStop makes most of their money selling used games. They'll buy them for pennies, sell them for dollars.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, we've all done that.
Have you ever gone to Microplay or some shit like that and try to give them your Game Boy Color? They're like, yeah, we'll give you $4. You're like, $4?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Or you want the newest game? Okay, trade in 6 of your most recent games that you bought. Yeah. Right? And there's a market for that because I'm always 2 years behind on video games. Like I just played Horizon Zero Dawn. That's been out for years, right? And so, but it's always good because I'm 2 or 3 years behind. I always get these blockbuster games for like $15.
Gotcha.
Right? So there's a market. I'm the market, right?
Gotcha.
And so because these new next gen consoles decided to provide a disc option, so now GameStop has at least another 10 years.
Oh, okay. They've extended their life, so to speak.
Right. Now, all these short sellers are betting that they're going to die over the next couple of years. I don't think so. Plus, GameStop came out with this rental program. So you can just rent games, so you're not actually buying them. Because most people play a game for a month and then they don't need it anymore. Right?
I'm shocked this rental thing just started, by the way.
I'm sure it's been on for a couple of years.
Because even when I worked at Best Buy in like 08, 09, the games are Call of Duty, Modern Warfare's coming. It's $69.99, and in 8 months or to 12 months max, the next one is coming out.
Right.
And that one's just going to be collecting dust.
You know who made a lot of money renting video games? Blockbuster.
Elon Musk?
Blockbuster.
Yeah.
I used to rent so many games from Blockbuster.
Rogers. I used to rent it from
right.
Yeah.
And so this video game rental business, I'm surprised that the retailers never picked up on it, but it's there. But
you're right. It was standard. That's what Rogers used to have, and it'd be like 2 weeks of rental to pay it. A 2-week rental.
Exactly.
Pays it off pretty much.
So instead of buying a game for $50 and selling it for $70 and keeping a spread of 20, you're now renting this game for the next year, and you're making like a 20 times profit margin on it. And so renting games is so profitable. I'm surprised that it's not more prevalent. Right?
Yeah.
But anyways, that being said, so these are 2 pieces of good news. So Michael Burry, on that note, bought the shares. And I think he also had calls on the shares, which is the right to purchase the shares in the future at a specified price at a specified date.
How do you get those?
You can just go onto the stock. You can go onto your brokerage account, and instead of clicking on stocks, just click on options. And then you can look at option pricing and stuff. The reason why call options are really good is because they allow you to use a leverage, because each call option, so say the stock price is $3, which it was for GameStop at the time. If you buy a call option for the right to buy it at $3 a year from now, the call option might be like 30 cents, right? So I am accessing the right of $3 with only using 30 cents. So if I have, $100 million, I'm significantly increasing the number of shares I have access to by doing call options. This is how Keith Gill, the guy who popularized the short squeeze on Wall Street Bets, they call him Deep Effin' Value, or they'll call him Roaring Kitty. That's how he made a lot of his money. But now let's go into his thesis, okay? So the good thing for us, and I'm actually releasing a video on this, and I'll provide it to you to put the link if you want to. But I actually go through his investment thesis on GameStop, but in general, right? And what you'll realize is this guy's actually brilliant. His investment style is very much like Warren Buffett's, because what he said was, this is not a company that's going out of business. This is actually a cigar butt, or maybe like a roach. He described it as a roach. Like, it's not the best toke you'll take, but it's a good toke, right? And so what he said
this guy sounds like the coolest investor possible, right?
Dude,
it's kind of like fucking two bitches at once. You know pull out, you're like, damn,
what I love?
Killing it.
He's like a 36-year-old guy or 34-year-old guy. I don't know. But you know what I love about him the most? He's a huge Star Wars nerd, which is great because I have Baby Yoda in all of my videos. So
actually, I saw that in the back. Yeah.
So basically, what Roaring Kitty was saying was that any good news on this name, because it's being so heavily shorted, the stock price could jump. Like, it could jump to like $10. That's what he was saying. And so what ended up happening is this guy who made billions of dollars on a pet foods retailer. I forgot what the pet food retailer name is. I just made a video on it, but this guy, he ended up buying, I think it was like 10% of the shares of GameStop, and he wanted a board seat on it. And he said, "Look, we're gonna digitize this platform." So that's good news. Right? Now they're bringing in Amazon executives to come onto GameStop, and they're going to turn it into this
like an online rental type thing. Gotcha.
Just a digital business. They're going to take it into the 21st century. That's really good news. What ends up happening? Our boy Keith is already in his shorts. He's been in it before March, before the whole thing. He is already long the stock when it was $3, $4, right? Yeah. Now,
he owns it. He's not shorting it. He owns
it, and he's not shorting it. He owns it, and he buys calls on it as well. And now 5 months later is when that investment was made by that billionaire guy. Okay.
So what happened? What investment?
So that billionaire, the guy who made money on selling like the dog food products.
Yeah.
Chewy.com. That's what it was. And he made the investment into GameStop. He bought. I think it was like 10% of the shares. And he said that this company is not dying, and we're going to transform this into a digital platform. And so GameStop lives, basically.
Gotcha.
And then he got a board seat. Now, the shares already jumped. They jumped to like $13.
Just because of the position he went in.
Because he wrote a letter.
Oh, okay.
He wrote an open letter. He's criticized.
That's the power of being a billionaire.
Yeah.
You could invest in a stock and be like, by the way, I believe this is the shit now. And then it just fucking shoots up because of your presence with it.
Elon Musk made AMC shoot up by just saying, "I like popcorn from AMC."
Like,
Wow. That's how crazy.
And then the guy from AMC just hands him a $sign bag. Here you are, Mr. Musk. Your shit, your donuts.
Mean, that is something that happens in the market, especially in times of a lot of exuberance. But anyway, so that happens. Now, this guy, he's already made so much money. And now he's talking about it on Wall Street Bets. He's been talking about it on Wall Street Bets for so long already, and people are telling him to sell, blah, blah, blah. He's like, "No, diamond hands, baby. I'm holding on to this forever." And so everyone realizes that he's still in this play. All the Wall Street Bets guys just realize, okay, we need to get into this as well, because what's going to happen is as soon as we continue to get into it, we're going to be driving the price up by paying more and more for these shares. As we're driving these prices up, the guys who are short on the stock are going to start getting margin called, because as the share goes up and your losses rack higher and higher, right? Your brokerage will call you and say, "Look, now it's time for you to sell some securities because we can't continue to have you
running
take
a
on
deficit
additional
this
losses.
big, essentially. Yeah.
So that's called a margin call.
Okay.
And so I actually talk about it in my video, one of my recent videos, where I talk about what you need to know about market corrections. But that's one of the things where when the stock market declines, even people who have diamond hands and are willing to hold on to that position, if they're leveraged, that margin will force them to sell those stocks.
Okay.
Right? This is why Warren Buffett talks about not using leverage to invest. This is why. It's so that you can hold on to your positions when the market
Regardless
implodes.
of what happens.
Exactly. So that being said,
So people that they shorted on margin, their brokerage is automatically just by default
covering them.
covering their essentially they're doing it by default.
Yeah, now
they're not even doing it.
Short selling by nature is a margin play because you're buying the shares and then you're selling them. Now you're margin to that price because if it starts increasing, you're just taking huge losses, and you can take infinite losses.
Yeah, you.
Like the share price.
But you can't. You just said it'll automatically sell it.
No, what I mean is theoretically.
Oh,
go
gotcha.
to infinity, right?
Gotcha,
Like
yeah,
share
yeah,
prices
yeah.
can go up forever. You can.
When will it usually make the call, the margin call? Is it like 3 times or like?
So like 50%, I would say, would be for most people.
It'll pull it.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
for most people.
So that happened. All of the shorts, all of the things got triggered at the same time, and the short squeeze happened.
And it just started happening. Now, I thought the short squeeze was over at $50.
Yeah.
Okay, because on one Friday, this was before the last UFC event happened. This is how funny my day was. I'm like, this is just a typical short squeeze. I want to give it some light because a lot, like tomorrow, there's shares that are going to tank and nobody's really going to know about it. But this is interesting, and I want people to know about this. So I make this video about the short squeeze. I talk about the GameStop people. I talk about the Chewy.com people. I was even going to talk about Amazon and how they're getting involved. Like some of their executives are moving over. But I just, like, and then in the final part of it, I said, don't get involved. Don't get involved in this.
Where did Reddit come into all this? Because I've heard Reddit.
So Wall Street Bets is a page on Reddit.
Oh, gotcha.
It's a subreddit. And that's where, self-described degenerates talk about gambling as investing, essentially.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
Like Reddit has a lot of sound value investing type pages, but then there's one just for your day traders. Like,
so our red pill is like Wall Street Bets for investing.
yeah, but I wouldn't even call them red pilled. I know people are gonna hate me for this, but like you guys are just degenerate gamblers. Like that's really what it is, and there's nothing wrong with it.
I just remortgaged my place. I'm gonna go all in on GameStop.
Straight up. And you know what? I started following all of these guys after I made that video because I wanted to know how, I don't want to say I called it, but like I specifically did call it in the video where I said this is gonna implode and people on both sides are gonna lose money, but I'm not going to get into it. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to see how people react on its way up and on its way down. The number of private messages and stuff I was getting when this thing kept going past $50 and it got to 300 and whatever. All these people, I had people online calling me a shill, and I work for the hedge funds. I had friends saying, "Bro, diamond hands, like I'm making so much money."
Diamond hands means what? I'll never let go.
I won't sell. Like my hands aren't shaky.
Gotcha.
And then of course, obviously, it's like, I've been around. Even in my video, I said I've been around. Like this is how this ends. And of course, it deflated very quickly. It closed at $60 on Friday.
When did the craze start? It was at $3, or $3 was like 6 months ago.
So $3 was around like the beginning of last year, beginning of 2020, like somewhere around $3.
And what did it peak at?
It peaked at $4.50. Most of the craze happened in the last month.
God damn, $4.50. What a ride if you took part in that.
Yeah, well, even Keith Gill, the Deep Effin' Value or Roaring Kitty, like people call him on YouTube, he even went up and he came down, and I think he lost $19 million after going up so much. But he's fine. He's set for life because he was taking stuff off the table as it was going up, right? And that's a tenet from, I'm sure. Some people have heard of Jim Cramer. That's the one thing he always says. Bulls make money, bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered. So don't be greedy. As you're making money, take stuff off the table, right?
Oh, like sell a bit.
Take some of your position off the table because you never know what's going to happen with these securities, right?